hate this because the clock is off.
The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. It's Wednesday, and I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
Oh, well, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and we're not going out live again. Always a problem. I'm looking at the screen, and it's a black screen. And, you know, government television, what can I tell you?
It may be sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get right into the mess of the day, or of the week, as I'd like to call it. 12, 15, 10 minutes to decide whether or not the people can go to clap.
Yeah, and not only that, somebody actually proposed
An ordinance.
And so Fall River may be the only place in the United States that we have to pass a law to obey the law.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because it's a constitutional right. We have freedom of expression. We have this, that is the people's house. And yet they're going to tell us how to behave in our own house. And it's at the discretion. And at the end of the council meeting, they retracted everything and said, hey, 7-2, we're going to let the president of the city council become a dictator. He can do anything he wants.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it amazing? Yes.
Yep.
Well,
only in Fall River can your constitutional rights be deprived by a dictator who can't even pay his mortgage, but he's the financial whiz kid. Let's not go there either, okay? Yes, Mr. Cadime, it wasn't the Herald News, we all know. So let's get right on to the citizens upset about it. I have to read some of these, and I put them in after that MOU that we're going to get to in a moment.
Yes, sir.
But we received an email from a gentleman who said, can we conduct an IQ test? Find out if there is anyone in this city over the age of 21 who has an IQ of 125 plus and an interest in public affairs. I'd like to know that. Perhaps you'd start out with the elected officials. Put in a challenge to each of them to take an IQ test. Of course they won't. I refer to the mean IQ of the council and the mayor as the general information, the GI quo, government intelligence quotient. Can't get any better than that. Sue Mathias, are you kidding me? I'm in disbelief that the city councils, with the exception of councilors Joe Camara and Cliff Ponte, voted in favor to allow the egomaniac city council president Shawn Cadime to enforce the no clapping rule. However, according to Councilor Steve Camara, it should be allowed under certain situations, as in citations and special recognition. This is my opinion, is discrimination against a certain group of individuals. No city council should have the right to pick and choose what is appropriate to clap for and what is not. If it's enforced, it should be with no exceptions. In addition, a no candy ban in the council chamber was also suggested. Oh, we can't have candy now. This is absolutely over the top when just about every councilor has a candy jar at their seat and councilors get up to go to the back room to stuff their faces with food and goodies. How hypocritical. With all the critical issues that our city is facing, to even waste time discussing such a ludicrous rule is an insult to each and every taxpayer in the city. Grow up, councilors, and stop making fools of yourself.
well, I have to comment. It's ironic to me. It's really ironic that Steve Camara was one of the biggest supporters of the council president. And the irony is that in 1995, Steve Camara was the president of the city council, and his egomania resulted in him and 4 other councilors of Portuguese descent that was referred to at the time as the Portuguese Mafia, who basically ran the council with an iron hand and the majority of votes. They were all booted out of office.
I agree.
So it's amazing how these people with degrees in government don't realize that the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's our house. But obviously, I have I favor the House of Commons.
This is true.
To me, I like dissent. I mean, obviously, you have to control it to a degree. You can't allow the thing to become a riot. But look if they can get up and yell and scream at each other in the House of Commons, we should have debate. And the fact is that virtually every politician of note, and they weren't really politicians, they were statesmen. There is a distinct difference there. But those people who were legendary and have all said they welcomed spirited debate, dissenting opinions. That's the only way we can move forward. We need someone to think out of the box, because when they want to, they'll talk about those little buzzwords like, we have to think out of the box. So how about allowing a dissenting opinion? That's a little out of the box, because if everybody agrees, you never move forward. Or you move backwards most of the time. And as I always say, when you march in lockstep, you do the goose step. And we don't have government. What we do is have a dictatorship. And it's really disturbs me that Steve Camara is saying they're going to determine when we can clap and when we can't. It's just crazy. I mean, it just goes to show the state of affairs in Fall River. That's what they've always wanted to do. They create these myths about government, and then they also have this, it's part of that myth is that we are obligated to agree with everything they say and do everything they say, and we're not. That's the spirit of government. And actually, we are directed to overthrow and replace any government that is not representative of the people. So we're doing our civic duty. You know, public dissent is a right. And some of those people on the council have exercised their right to public dissent. But when it's time for the people to have that dissent, we're denied. I think this is, this actually is. It's not tragic. It's not ridiculous. It's unconstitutional.
It is. And Chip, the biggest problem is that the voice of the people has been coming out regularly saying how dissatisfied they are with this council, you know, except obviously for the two minions who find that, no, I mean, honestly, I believe that small group of people who sit in the corner of the city council chamber firmly believe that if the mayor dropped a nuclear bomb on Fall River, they would say, oh no, that's what was necessary, because he's thinking outside of the box. You know, look at things. But let's continue on with some of these comments. Joshua Silva, who was a former city council candidate, 0 accomplishments. At least we know Joe C. doesn't mind people clapping. You know, furthermore, we found out yesterday on WSR that Ray Mitchell has been on the council for 1,000 years, and he just found out about how bonding works. Really? No wonder we are in a financial disaster. I hope the people that voted for this clowncle, C-L-O-W-N-C-I-L, are happy. We're going down in flames. We go to hear Linda say bull last night. We discussed Steve Camara. We witnessed Steve Camara not knowing what they were voting on at least 3 times last night. We watched Rich, and he put can't be serious, but Blove every chance he could get. We heard Linda say they can block privatization by not approving the sale of trucks. If it was Sutter, she'd be all for it because he was going to do it too. All in all, the city is a disaster, and the council wants to discuss clapping. If Cadime thought people would be clapping for him, he'd be all for it. What a joke. All hail the council. And then further comments about Dennis Manchester. The city council is a sham, scam, and I'm very disappointed in the city intelligence level by electing these imbeciles to a court of legislation on which to carry out municipal business. Shame on the citizens. Now, Lou Pereira, husband of city councilor Linda Pereira. The joke is you, Josh. You're a sore loser, still mad that you didn't win. The main reason why you didn't win was because you're nothing but a complainer that talks nothing but negativity. And as far as Linda, she has never been for privatization. You think selling our trucks for a fraction what it's worth is a good deal? Really. As far as Linda, she has never been for privatization. I think he said that twice. Again, Sue Mathias. The reason Linda is against privatization has nothing to do with what is best for the city and everything to do with losing her base of support, as most of the DCM workers have Linda to thank for their jobs and continue to vote for her for this reason. And then Josh Silver closes out with 32 sign holders will be out of work.
Well, it's not much to say. Look, as far as, I mean, losing...
Well, I got a couple of more comments, and, okay. James Bartley. Listen to you at the city council meeting, meaning my statement about failure and getting promotions, and you did say things that are correct, yet you got no reply, and they looked at you like you had 3 heads. City council members don't do anything until it's too late, and again, the taxpayers pay the bill. Let's worry about clapping. And then finally, Dan Robillard, one of our colleagues. Financial issues facing Fall River at this time, some of which I spoke about last night at the city council meeting. Private trash collection contract too long, and selling of trucks which we owe money on the bond at financial loss makes no sense in my view. School department facing financial issues in transportation. On and on and on. The school is bloated and top heavy. The city is bloated and top heavy. I mean, come on. Fees and taxes will increase in the next budget. The household fee should be eliminated. The more money the government at level receives on any level, the more it will waste. Didn't we say that too? And we may not always agree with Dan, but a lot of times he's right on the money. And he came up with an idea. There should be a hiring freeze, a wage freeze, zero-based budgeting, and every department, non-public safety, should cut 10% from their budget. Well, they never cut the 10% at the top, so that might be a little difficult for Fall River to understand. But it's amazing how we receive an email saying that these people should take an IQ test, the GI quotient. Well. And you have, but this is just a small sampling of the outrage and the discontent that these people have. Hey, city council, all 9 of you, where are you? Are you understanding this? And Linda, really talk to your husband, tell him, honey, we got to have a thick skin. I'm a city councilor, I'm a public figure, and you coming out like this, I understand it's your opinion, but you're making me look bad. And I mean, this is what happens. We get family members that get involved, and of course, it creates problem. Because the one rule that we use in politics is keep the family out of it. But when the family gets into it, by their own admission, the gloves come off for a lot of people, and you know what? You pay for that.
Well, this is just this last night's meeting really was a snapshot of what is the problem in the city of Fall River. Our problem is that we have it's total chaos. We don't have a government body that's focused on doing anything except basically discussing things ad nauseum and then doing absolutely nothing about it, i.e. the clapping. They began by proposing ordinances and referring it to committees, and then they end up at the end of the night when most of the people have left because they've basically got them so irritated that they want to commit seppuku, which is ritual suicide from watching this thing. That when the chamber's 3/4 empty, then they decide to reverse everything that they did, because hey, there's nobody here anymore, so we can just reverse everything and no harm, no foul. And they talk a lot, but they don't do a lot. I heard a lot. And we see how this city is. And Meg Mayo Brown, when she was up there testifying, really showed what the problem is with the school department. I don't know about you, but she was kind of extremely dismissive, would be, I guess, the most kind term, of the city council in general. She basically told them, we're not here to ask for anything. In other words, you don't count. Net school spending, the education reform bill has created an empire that doesn't care about anybody but themselves. They are a nation unto themselves, and we take the hit, which is why I've continued to say, rather than complain and ask ridiculous questions, why doesn't the city council contact our state representatives and attempt to change and revamp education reform? It's totally out of control. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars. We have tons of administrators, and yet our classrooms are overcrowded. The school department would take, a year of specials for us to cover item by item. But we all know that we have one of the highest ratios of administrators to teachers in the state. Yet, all these claims about, we turned, all these bouquets they throw. Oh, she turned the system around, she did this, she did that. We're no longer under state scrutiny. All we did was play checkers. And we see what happens. And, just the attitudes, the school department basically thumbs their nose at the city council. She walked up there and more than once, she reminded them that they're not there asking for anything because they don't have to ask. They can just demand. And that's one of the problems we have. And the city council, again, all they do is talk a lot, but they don't do anything preemptive. Everything's reaction. The only way we can ever solve our problems is begin by doing things preemptively. We can't just react. We run government, and we have run government now for almost 10 years by crisis. Everything that gets to the city council is going to court, it's under the gun, we're facing fines. Why can't somebody figure out, I think the last show, I think, CJ, you mentioned about, you talked about the water department, you talked about Terry Sullivan's, what was it, over a year ago? He mentioned that.
Yes, I did.
He couldn't keep up with the EPA regulations.
Correct.
And now we're paying because we're not complying, and we have to pay to remove, the waste. And it's all because we didn't keep up with regulations. And we go back years to the CSO when he didn't file a paperwork to get a grant. So, city council, why is he still a department head? Why is he still working? Why hasn't somebody preemptively said after the first time, a year ago, why didn't they say, Mr. Sullivan, either figure out how you can stay abreast of the changes, or we're going to terminate your employment? Because the police chief can't say, well, I wasn't aware of the laws, and the fire chief can't say, I'm not aware of the fire codes, because then he's gonna be held liable. It's their job. They're a department head. Maybe that's why they get the big bucks. I still got my card from the department. It said under Chapter 148, I'm designated to enforce the codes. The fact that I have to enforce the codes means I have to know the codes. So I had to sit there, and every time a code change came down, we had to go and study it. Every time, and that's for every department, and anything that applies to your department. That's part of your job as a department head. But yet, we've never seen a department head terminated. We've never seen a department head censured. We've never seen a department head held accountable. And we've never seen any consequence for lying, mismanagement, and absolutely, being
incompetent
unable to do their job and being totally incompetent. Yet, as you said, and I've got to ask you a question in your presentation last night, you said the salary was $110,000
for
the new guy at DCM?
No, the new guy at DCM is
Wasn't it 98?
it's 98. Yes.
I thought you said 110.
No, I didn't.
All
No.
right.
Yeah.
Well, because, like I said, he's getting 98 for doing, and he has 1/3 of his workforce.
Correct.
We've rated that. And also, it's a lot more than 98, because if you figure in just the Blue Cross, that's another like 50,000 a year.
Yeah, but you know, the thing that gets me is, you know, when
his benefits are another 50 grand, not just Blue Cross, but
Right.
5,000, almost 6,000 for Blue Cross, and then you get in the personal days and any vacations and stuff. So, I mean, why don't we do something preemptively? I'm tired of hearing, oh yeah, you know, a lot of talk, no action.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because in looking through a lot of what happens in the city, you know, we're talking about financial management and this, that, and the other thing, and over the weekend, people sent us more tips, more information. And of course, you know us, we always have it ready to go. Here's a city truck. And it's in Somerset on the weekend. And oddly enough, it's marked T12. Now, I don't know who had that truck over the weekend. And personally, I don't want to know. But something that I'm investigating and I'm finding out is I want the mileage records on every city vehicle owned by the city that is used by a department head or by an employee in the performance of their job, excluding police department cruisers. But officers, I want to know, because if they're taking those vehicles home, something that many employees of this city don't know, personal mileage is taxable under the IRS code. That's classified as income. Even if you need to use that vehicle in the performance of your job and you take it home because of that, going from your place of employment to your home is personal use. Going from your home to your place of employment is personal use. Those miles are taxable. And as such, there has to be an accounting. And the IRS requires companies, and Fall River is a company, to keep records of the mileage used for business purposes. Now, Chip, do you ever remember a log, a book, a computer, a device that you had to log the mileage in on in your car as a district chief?
Well, you know, the thing is, you can't, unless you're on an emergency and you're going to mutual aid, you can't take a public safety vehicle out of the city that is being paid to protect.
Ah, but wait, that's right. But
You know,
still,
but the cars that were used for administrative personnel, such as the deputies, the fire chief's
Yep.
car, they either get a car or they get a car allowance. But if you're using a vehicle, it's not supposed to be used for personal use.
right.
You can't use you can't use the car to drive around, and go up to Newport and go to the beach in a public vehicle. Those vehicles are supposed to be used for city business, and I don't. It's not legal, and there should be logs. And I think there's GPSs on those new trucks, so they can determine where they are. But God knows
Right.
we better not check into those GPSs, because
They might be at the Foxy Lady.
they might be, oh yeah, the Foxy Lady.
But you know, the thing is that we talk about finances, and one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is Fall River is a self-insurer. If one of our city vehicles gets into an accident, the city has to pay for it, i.e., you, the taxpayer. And we don't, and we see the claims all the time coming for potholes and for trucks that have hit vehicles and everything else. And what happens? Refer to corporate counsel, and corporate counsel sends out a form letter that says your claim is denied, because the city doesn't want to pay it unless it goes to subrogation with your insurance company, and then they pay it because they don't want to go into court. You know, maybe it's time that everybody file the claim, and at the same time they file their claim with the city, file a small claims action.
Yeah. Well, we got to get at this
This
MOU.
memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, because this thing, and we're going to have to do more on Friday.
But the one thing I want to talk about on this, amongst the other BS throughout the entire thing, for those of you who watched the press conference, the mayor said that he had a memorandum of understanding in place with Easy Disposal. and what's in that memorandum is on this sheet. Now, if he had it in place already, please explain to me, please explain to the viewers, please explain to the city of Fall River why Jazel Correa II, Kathy Ann Viveris, and Michael J. Morello all signed this on April 19th. That was yesterday.
Somebody lied.
Somebody lied.
Somebody lied.
And then, you wonder why people are saying, I can't trust a word you say? You lied. Lied, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Pants on fire.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's right. But I've got to make just a couple of quick comments. I'm looking at this, and it boggles my mind. Because, as I said, we just never learn, and we never do anything preemptively. How many times over the past 8 or 10 years have we heard the city saying, well, there's nothing we can do about it, we're locked into a contract. We can't get out of this. We have to pay this, even though we don't want to pay it, we have to pay it. Well, the parties agree to a term of 10 years. I'm not even sure if that's legal, but who in their right mind, with this city's track record of never being able to get out of a contract, would sign a 10-year agreement?
This mayor did it previously. This mayor did it previously. In his term as a city councilor,
I know.
He signed a 7-year agreement, or agreed to a 7-year agreement with Republic.
And I'm just going to see, maybe it's me because I'm very sensitive to contract language and how they make gray areas that they can really take advantage of. Then I'm looking at item 9, CJ, on the back. Annual service price of $3.3 million with additional adjustments to be mutually agreed upon. That's a pretty open-ended statement.
No.
So they can make, it's not, no cap, no nothing, just mutually agreed upon. And what happens if they don't mutually agree? What happens if that company comes back and says, well, we can't do it anymore, we need this, and they say no? Are they going to go to arbitration? Are they going to mediation? Is the company going to pull out? Is that going to be a breach of contract? Are we going to be in court? No. And then the next one. The city of Fall River shall continue to own and maintain all necessary waste receptacles. Again, we bonded for this stuff, then we bonded another $900,000 for those brown, very appropriate color, barrels. Why? Why do we have to own it? Why should we continue to own and maintain and pay money? We're privatizing. Let everybody buy their own barrel. And we don't have a bill. But we love to keep paying somebody. I want to know who's getting the deal, because I don't know why we needed to buy brown barrels for yard waste. You can go down to Ace, you go to Home Depot and buy a bag, a leaf bag, and that's what we did for years, for a couple of dollars. And instead, we bond $900,000 that we'll probably just be paying the interest on for 100 years. This city it's just mind-boggling. The level of incompetence to draw something like this out. I mean, no wonder these companies are coming to Fall River. It's like, wow, just bend over, taxpayer, here we come. And it's like, I mean, I'm looking at this, it's just crazy. And then they have a blank item, incidentals. So besides an annual price tag of $3.3 million, which is pretty steep, additional adjustments to be mutually agreed upon, then there's no mechanism. This contract, the final contract, and I understand this is an MOU, and it's a surface, it's just and it's not binding. But I'll tell you what, the final contract better be a hell of a lot more specific than this, because this is this is nuts. I mean, we shall continue to own and maintain all the barrels for them. Well, tough luck. You're making money. You're a private company. It's crazy. Stay angry, and it's nice to be back after Patriots Day. I hope you all enjoyed the marathon.
Hey, it's always fun in Fall River. We'll see you Friday. Have a great day.
Did we ever go live?
Yes, we did.
Oh, good. Then see you later live.